Well, I think this is going to be number one of my podcast, or I guess number zero. I don't know, a pilot, if you will. Turpentine on the Rocks was the name that I came up with originally. I'm going to see if I'm going to stick with that forever, but, who knows. I figured I would kick things off because I just recorded myself talking into a microphone for God knows how long. And just some of my thoughts about art. I was just sort of going through some of the thoughts I was having in my head about why I haven't been creating much art lately. And this audio essay is sort of the result. So, if you are at all interested in the motivations of one person when they create art, then this is good for you. And if you don't give a damn, if you're not doing, what else are you gonna do? What else do you have planned for whatever day you're actually hearing this? Anyway, I hope you're having a good one, and thank you for listening in advance. I love being angry. It's actually a quote from Ren and Stimpy. It's one of my favorite cartoons that I had as a kid. Today I was just thinking about, where my motivation for art came from. And mostly just because of the fact that there are times when it's just everything flows freely and everything just comes to me like very easily. And there's times where I can't even put like a single line to a piece of paper. And thinking back, I realized that many of the times where I painted, and it's been really easy, I was really angry. Not really angry, but angry enough. I was mostly dealing with pretty strong emotions, and a lot of times they had to do with the grief over the loss of a loved one, or, friends moving away, a betrayal of someone I really cared about, and, just many other difficult situations. And, I found out it's actually pretty difficult to paint when you're stricken with depression. It's actually even harder to paint when I was happy and, content with everything that was going on. And anger is just a strong motivator for me. I think I came to this realization when I moved back to LA. I was ecstatic about potential opportunities, about being close to friends and family. And I was also dealing with the loneliness and boredom of, suddenly living alone in a very tiny little apartment with few people to talk to. And I was painting and drawing almost every day, and then just all stopped. Weeks went by, I didn't even draw a single sketch, instead devoting all my time to just stupid little bullshit. I realized I wasn't angry, and the few things I was concerned about, I was more sad about than angry. I don't like admitting that things get to me. I like to be looked at as the guy who's always composed, and, like any other human being, though, I get frustrated when things are difficult. And I get hurt easily. People ask me all the time, Nick, why don't you ever seem to get angry? And the truth is that I do. And I don't actually keep my anger in either. Art is a very convenient way to deal with that anger. My art can be described as an act of violence. It isn't directed towards a person or even a thing. It's a pure and unfiltered manifestation of the impotent rage that I feel constantly deep in the pit of my stomach. It conveys like a wide variety of stories and feelings, but the vehicle that carries those images and those stories to paper is anger. And also the ability to look at my anger gives me a way to face it. I think most people just do whatever they can to make sure nobody can tell that they're angry. and to deny that they're angry. And I can understand why. Anger is ugly and it makes you do stupid things. To see that in yourself is scary. And I think for those who have a lot to be angry about, it's not easy to deal with, but my anger has always had a place to go where it didn't end up hurting people. I kind of liken my art as like magical totems that harbor my darkness so that I don't have to carry it in my soul. I don't like being angry towards people, but I like the feeling of overcoming that anger. It's like overcoming a powerful adversary. My adversary tends to be abstract, and it's hard to place and put in a single place. I often see my unpleasant feelings as not being caused by a person, but as a mass of perceptions that I'm drowning in, and if I don't let them go, I will stay there forever. There's often no person to blame or to direct that anger at other than myself. So being able to point at an empty space like a piece of paper or a canvas allows me to destroy that space without any harm coming to someone else or myself. It also gives me a way to communicate these strong feelings to other people. Anger can set you free. There's something liberating about coming to terms with your ugly side, even making friends with it. Punk rock is a good example. Being unapologetically crude to the outside world resonates with people. I guess I love the fact that as an artist, I don't have to force myself to be polite. It's almost essential that I lay my most basic feelings there, bare, and allow everybody to see. Because chances are someone else has felt that way at one time too. Maybe they're feeling that right this second. I think of other artists and how they felt when they painted. Does their motivation come from anger and that kind of impotent feeling of not being able to do anything? Or does it come from elation or sadness? And wherever it comes from, art, I believe, comes from a very emotional place. I guess the question is now, where do I go from here? Now that I know where the motivation comes from, what do I do when I don't feel angry? I guess, I know actors are able to draw from personal experiences to be able to cry on cue, and, weaving their emotions into their narrative the way a singer weaves notes into a performance. I wonder if this is why artists and writers and actors tend to be eccentric and weird. I don't think all art comes from dark places, but it seems that for most artists, art requires an artist to dig from some not so pleasant experiences. To be able to convey the terrible feelings of sadness and anger, you kind of have to understand how that feels. I think the process of reliving those feelings again and again can have a profound effect on an artist. I'm not sure how good it is to go back to such places in my art, and maybe I won't need to one day. Maybe I won't need to exploit those, bad feelings. But I also don't see the anger that my art comes from and that, gets me out of my bed and working necessarily a bad thing. I can see the work I did, and even if I was angry doing it, I can enjoy the creation of it. I guess I can be as happy and as content as I want when I retire.